Welcome to Connected Leadership. I'm your host, Kimberly Denville, the founder of Comet Leadership Development. My passion is helping others to develop their own leadership style and skills. Whether it's through one-on-one mentoring, writing, or speaking to groups of people, I love to discuss topics related to leadership and people management. We believe that anyone can be a leader, whether you're a people manager or not. We want to help you build the skills that help you connect and motivate people so they can reach their full potential. Thank you for joining us today, and let's dive in. Over the years, I've run into a lot of scenarios where someone's intention did not align with the outcomes. In the better instances, this was someone who started to chat with me about how their intentions were misconstrued by the recipient of their action. In the less positive scenarios, I was having a coaching session because I had to correct behavior. Sometimes they understand why someone thought something, but that wasn't the way they, quote, meant it. Or sometimes they were perplexed at why someone was unhappy. And then we almost always end up talking about perception. And then I tell them all, perception is reality to the other person. We've all heard this statement or some version of it at one point or another. And there's a reason why it's fairly common. If I say or do something that makes you perceive me as a jerk, then to you, I am a jerk, at least in that moment. It doesn't matter if I was trying to be one or not. Your perception of me forms reality in that moment. Leaders face challenges with perception on a regular basis, particularly if those leaders are also members of management. Your staff is not privy to all of your conversations, projects, the direction you get from your leaders, the strategies, goals, or even your inner thoughts. Nor should they be subject to all of it. However, because they are dealing with incomplete information, their perception of you and the organization shapes their feelings and actions in their daily activity. A positive perception is likely to lead to more positive outcomes. A negative impression, particularly if it occurs more than once, is more likely to lead to a spiral of poorer interactions and decreased employee engagement. It may fester and spread if it's not addressed. And all the while, the manager is left scratching their head about how it occurred. So how do you control perception is a question that I've been asked when discussing the divergence between perception and intention. This is the wrong question. It's not about control. You cannot control the perception of another person. You are not inside their brain. But you can influence their perception. This can be done through a series of mindful actions. Remember the adage, actions speak louder than words. To influence perception, you need to first think about what it is you wish to project, and what kind of issues or what problems do you hear about from your team. Then you can take action to address the gaps between intention and perception. Be aware, not everyone will interpret your actions the same way you do. This is why it's influencing and not control. You cannot control someone else's thoughts. You may feel that you are focused. Someone else thinks you're grumpy. You can think that you are helping someone while they feel you are being patronizing. So let's take a look at a real scenario to see how this plays out and actually a fairly common complaint in larger teams: fairness and favoritism. In this case, the perception among some employees is, if you're not part of that inside group or team, they, meaning management, don't care about you. The manager is perplexed. They regularly tell everyone that they care about the team and how they want everyone to succeed. Yeah, they hold people accountable. That's part of their job. But they also try to create an upbeat atmosphere in the office. They try to create fun events. They joke, they laugh, and every day they talk with employees as they walk through the office. And many of the employees seem happy. So why are there complaints that, quote, management doesn't care? Obviously, there's a disconnect here. The management intends to create a fun and supportive culture, but the employees perceive that management doesn't really care. To understand how to influence perception, we have to take a look at the actions that led to this perception. When this scenario was brought to me, I began by asking questions about some of the actions that the manager had noted. As there seemed to be a disparity between employee groups, you start with the word everyone. When you say you want everyone to succeed, do you follow the same actions for all of your team members? When celebrating a success, working on developing new skills, correcting poor performance, is there equitable application? Do you follow the same things for everyone, tailoring it as needed to fit the individual needs? Talking about the fun events that are scheduled. If you're in a multi-shift environment, do you try to cover all shifts? Do you give advance notice to your team so people can join in if they want? Do you vary the types of fun events to capture different personalities? Remember that what some people find fun, others consider torture. And on that more personal level, when the manager said to me that they talk with employees every day, I had to ask, did they have a habit of always talking to the same select people? As they walk through the office, do they always say hi to people that are sitting in the desks closest to the walkway? Do they tend to have deeper conversations with some people while they barely say hello to someone else? Now, this is a rather lightweight scenario in the interest of time, so the questions that are posed are rather limited. But we could potentially look at other questions about the actions. How do the employees see the manager interact with other members of management or with other organizations in the business? Is there a different style of interaction that causes a perception shift? What closed-door conversations or private conversations have been overheard that might change perception? When difficult changes in the business are necessary, how are they planned, communicated, and executed? How often are employees engaged in making plans or in the projects, the changes, the communications? Is it always the same set of employees that are selected, or are different groups used to get a variety of thoughts and opinions? Now, obviously, this is just a sampling of potential questions, and each environment is different, so not all of the questions and potential actions would apply. But by asking questions, we can begin to see how a manager could unintentionally be setting up a perception of favoritism. To help influence perception, the manager can use the answers to these basic questions to adjust their actions. Maybe they can make a pointed effort to talk to different people on a regular basis. They can ensure that successes are celebrated for all employees. They can get employee feedback from a wider group as to what they would find fun. They can take time to understand development opportunities of the team members. What do they want to do? What do they want to learn? Following the discussion of these questions and these answers, the manager can have a different perspective on the actions that they're taking during the course of their day and how those actions look to an outside person. If they truly want to have a closed-door private conversation with another manager, maybe that needs to take place in a different location. Maybe they need to be careful about the jokes or the stories that they tell with members of management or with certain employees, because it creates a perception of us versus them. If you want to build positive perceptions, you have to be mindful about how others see what you say and do. You have to set the examples. You have to walk the talk that matches your intention. Influencing perceptions is a continuous process, and one that works better if you go about it honestly and by embodying what you say. Trying to alter perceptions when you don't believe in something or by being disingenuous generally doesn't work long term. Either someone will see through you, or you'll burn out trying to force something that isn't there. And finally, you need to recognize that as a leader, or frankly as a person in general, you cannot force people to have a positive perception of you 100% of the time. There will be times when you will make unpopular decisions. There are times when people won't agree with you or your actions. And there will be some people who just don't like you. That's okay. Life is not a big popularity contest. But if you stay mindful of the actions you take, you can help influence perception to align closer to your intention. That's all for this episode. Thank you for joining in and listening. Don't forget to subscribe so you can be alerted when the next episode comes out. If you want to get more detail on today's topic, or you want to check out our other material, please visit us at cometleadership.com. You'll find a series of articles, templates, and training material. You can also email me directly at kimberly@cometleadership.com. Thanks for listening and have a fantastic day.